And we are live. Look at that.
Really?
Yeah, a week
We're
late.
never live that easily after pushing the button.
Well, this is it. It's almost like not even trying to get onto Twitch is the way forwards. Um,
Wow. There's always a problem. Well, happy 2022 then. Thanks, New Year. 2021 was clearly the problem.
this is it. We'll go with that. Why not? Why not? But yes, a week late, but we are here. Rejoice. Your lives are much better for it. Honestly, just don't check.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of those kinds of facts. It's totally true, but just don't check it anywhere else. Um, thanks to everyone who's joining us. We've got I think we've got quite an interesting episode ahead. It's been an interesting month and a week since we were last here, and we've both got a lot to talk about. But just to kick us off, then, out of 10, what's the month been like for you, Joe?
That depends on what we're rating this on. All right, so I'll give you two ratings. How busy was the month? 12. How much have I enjoyed this month? -12. Sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds like January. That's
Yeah. No, realistically, it's been about maybe a 7 or an 8. I was let go right before the holidays, which was great. That was a blast. So I've able to rebound. I've actually been able to rebound a lot easier than I thought I was going to in January, which is going to be one of the things I want to talk about, of why that happened. And yeah, that's so it's been about a 7 or 8, all things considered.
yeah, that's not a terrible month then. Not terrible.
No, not
Nice.
terrible.
Yeah. No, I think a similar sort of thing. I think it's a case of it's been a very busy month, and I'm very ready for January to be gone and be dead and never come back.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's going to in like 11 months, but I'm going to try not to think about that for now.
Figure out how to get myself a little more centered. There we go.
But before we go any further, though, let's and we'll come back and obviously we'll talk drinks naturally. But before we do, let's roll that intro. There's only one place for the breaking news in the world of instructional design. The ID Update with Tom and Joe. All the news you never knew you never needed. Only on IDT. Awesome. So, before we get into the month that was, everyone who is here in the chat, let us know what you're drinking, whether it's alcoholic or not, whatever you're enjoying. We want to know. But Joe, what have you got going?
I found a stout that is aptly named for this month, for January, not this month. February hasn't started yet. Aptly named for January.
Oh, I love it. That is awesome.
This is a White Russian Imperial Stout from my friends over at Verboten. These things are actually wild. They do a lot of them, and we've got a couple of them in Colorado. And this one's not, but most of them are very Big Lebowski themed, if you're familiar with the movie. So we've got The Dude Abides. We've got This Beer Really Tied the Room Together. Nice. And they're all White Russian Imperial Stouts.
Oh,
I got blurry.
nice.
Here we go. I'm back.
Happy days. Very nice.
And glass, because I do the glass. Went to Tacoma. We went to Seattle last year. And my friends over at Odd Otter, I love their glass.
That is cool.
They're also a really cool brewery. They've got that kind of like wood paneled lining, like that crate or the pallet wood, just lining their all of their walls. So you really feel like you're just literally in the warehouse drinking. It's so nice.
That is very nice sounding.
Olga, been a while.
Yeah, I know you said you were swinging by, so glad you could make it. Yeah.
Green tea and jasmine.
Oh, lovely. That sounds distinctly to me like a going to bed immediately kind of drink. It's.
I mean, mine's also that.
different kind of nap though, right? One's a kind
only
of
9.
peaceful.
It's only 9.5.
Oh well, there we go. This is it. I'm feeling like like green tea and jasmine. You're slipping into a nice gentle slumber.
Yeah.
Whereas we're passing out on the floor halfway up the stairs.
Southern Comfort and Coke. All right, your turn. What you got?
I've not tried this before, but I've got Origami Black Belt, which is a Tonka maple and ginger stout.
Didn't
So
you have
this,
Tonka recently?
yeah, so that it seems to be a bit of a trend at the minute in terms of like stouts over here that Tonka beans are just going into everything. It's a bit like when you know when hipsters discovered hops and they wanted to find out what were the maximum number of hops could cram into a beer. The new thing is clearly Tonka beans. Um,
Got it.
but and of course, glass wise, which isn't really my area of expertise, I must say, but I reached into the cupboard and this thing fell out. Look at that.
I
So this
forgot
is
I sent you
the
that.
Decks and Drafts pint glass from Joey's other channel, um, which is awesome because it's a pint glass and therefore can hold a pint of beer, but also
There we
has a nice
go.
beer themed logo. It's so yes, let's pour up.
I forgot I sent you that thing and how much that cost. Oh, well, I remember how much that cost.
I can imagine, yes, because you do it yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like,
that's
I think it was like 25, $30.
yeah. Well, it's much appreciated. It's had a lot of very good use.
Yes. I love these guys' hashtag. They're keep it odd for odd otter.
Nice.
But anyway, cheers to you, cheers to y'all, cheers to 2022, cheers to my
Cheers.
these garbage Logitechs not understanding how focus works. But I've got a different one. I've got the C930s.
Mm.
So it's a little bit better at focus and then refocusing back, which that did not do what I wanted it to do. Whatever. It is not the 920s that are garbage. This episode not sponsored by Logitech.
I think at this point we can just say goodbye to the prospect of ever potentially having a sponsor for this channel. It's just not gonna happen.
It should be a challenge. Like, you have enough favor with us.
Who's brave enough? Because if ever there was a channel that was totally going to take your money and then rip your products to shreds, it would be us. Let's be honest.
Well, we would switch it to constructive criticism at that point.
Absolutely. As constructive as our criticism is of like Captivate and stuff.
Yes. Please
burn
redo
it
all
and
of
start
it.
again. Yes.
I think that's constructive.
Absolutely.
And thank you,
Absolutely.
Luke. I do like this camera a little bit better. It's also naturally wider. It is a wider lens, so you get to see the new cat tower.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Yeah, I think cameras are so tricky because I think it's so much to do with the size of lens you can get ultimately, and I think that's the kind of the total limitation regarding webcam style cameras is the fact that they are so compact. It's quite interesting now. You've got like Elgato and stuff stretching into these kind of really big, deep webcams.
Yeah, we've
like
got
huge
Elgato
blocks.
up here. That's just like pure content creator nonsense, and it's 3 times the cost.
Oh yes.
I don't know the value.
To be honest, if you're going to spend that much on a camera, spend a little bit more and buy a camera. I kind of feel like there's a point of diminishing returns whereby you're wasting money. It's like if you want to record really high, if you genuinely as a content creator want to record super high quality video or you need that for whatever reason, buy a camera. If you want the convenience of a webcam approach because you've got your overhead cam and that kind of thing, you're not going to want to rig up a £1,000 camera hanging upside down over the cards, right? And similarly, you have to ask, would that add any value to your content? It's the same problem we face in L&D, right? Shiny new toys are fun, but
How much does it actually help?
This is it. Absolutely.
I've gotten to play with shiny new toys lately. I've gotten to learn iSpring. That one's interesting. It's just super glorified PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to the nth degree. But it's at least functional. I've also learned about a tool called Synthesia.
Mm.
And Synthesia is nuts. If you don't know what Synthesia is, Devlin has posted this also in adjusting my camera. That's correct. Devlin is correct. Maybe we'll see him. But anyway, Synthesia. So the idea with Synthesia.io, because I don't think legally they can have a human name, is that you go in and you get options for a character that is very human-like. It is very a me and a Tom. And then you can also select from like 50 different tones, inflections, dialects, ethnicities, and then you put in a script. And AI will read that script in a very human way. This is not your robotic TikTok voice. This is very human sounding. And it will also generate a video of a me saying those lines. It's not perfect, but man, it's close. And then you can put like emphasis, and you can like spell things out phonetically if the inflection is wrong. Like you can get really into the weeds with it and create something that sounds and looks human, straight up human. It's wacky. It's a fun puzzle.
Yeah, it's an interesting step in that whole space, to be honest, because I think it's interestingly enough, I've got an episode of the Ideas podcast coming out next week, with a gentleman called Christopher. Oh, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten his surname. But he's a fantastic voiceover artist here in the UK, really phenomenal. And he put out a video all about AI voiceover, and about how it's really nothing to be kind of worried about in the voiceover world, because it's never going to replace voiceover artists, because
No.
the user base for an AI voice like that, generally speaking, was never going to hire a voiceover artist. Those of us who are reaching for the AI stuff tend to be those of us who go, well, I could pay £1,000 for this one script to be voiced or whatever, or I could just use an AI voice and pay for an annual license of whatever it's going to be. And that's the user base. And I think voice acting is where that gap comes from. Because like you're saying, you have to input emphasis, spell things out phonetically. With a human, it's a much more organic backwards and forwards creation process, isn't it? Which I think is always going to have a space. But
yeah, I mean, I'll say, and I haven't heard of Well Said Labs, but I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one use that I want for it is software.
Oh yes.
I love the idea of AI and software training, because the issue that I had every time I went to a job, started a job, was I would have this outdated training, and the person who did the voiceover originally is no longer with us.
Yeah.
And I had to update it. And I know that I'm going to have to update it a year from now.
Yep.
It is such a great future-proof thing.
This is it. And I think it's about finding, like every other tool, right? It's about finding where it adds value versus where we're just doing it because we can.
Yeah.
I think it's really, and Olga's brought up a great point there about, well said. Their stuff is, to be honest,
terrifyingly human.
But there is some interesting stuff going on with all this